I guess just kind of start off with Bellarmine. I mean, they played UCLA and Purdue and Gonzaga already. I mean, they played some pretty heavy hitters, and they were just a D1 school for the first time last year. This is obviously a team not many people have heard about. So what can you tell us about the Knights?
Well, they had great success at the Division II level, and like most people who have great success there, they took the next step, and they did that a year ago. And Scotty does a great job with them. I knew Scotty years and years ago when he was a high school coach. So, and he's got a great relationship in the coaching fraternity with people. So. Easy to do things for him.
Put together then, pretty much.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would assume so.
How can you describe their offensive style for us?
Mike, it's a lot like we used to run on a while ago. With all the back cuts and all the back screens and back cuts and curls and the ISOs, that was college basketball for really a good while. I mean, when you think about the success that Coach Knight had, it was a motion cutting, curling, fading offense, and I think it requires having people who can pass the ball, which they do. Their guys are very skilled. It has to do with having patience and not really getting ahead of yourself, which they do a terrific job of. And they've got a couple guys who are really good in isolation situations that can score it over either shoulder. So I think he has done a terrific job of either bringing personnel to that or bringing that to his personnel, one or the other. But they're good. They're down 20 or 22 to UCLA, and then the next thing you know, they're down 10. You go on a 10, 12 point run against the number 2 ranked team in the country, you're doing some things right.
What are they going to do defensively?
Man, yeah, it's pack line. I think which for his personnel and that I think it serves him really well. Just take away all the easy shots you can take away and make people try to score the ball over top of you. And they do a great job of it.
You've had 2 straight games now where you played your best at winning time late in the game. Is that because of the guys you had on the floor? Is it because of what you were doing?
It was all coaching.
Coaching.
Yeah.
Who's the third quick then?
I don't, I think our guys kind of they've risen to I think the Marquette deal kind of woke them up a little bit, quite frankly. We've got pretty good control of the game, and then all of a sudden we don't have any control. And I honestly think that woke them up some. And we tend to play harder, but I think most people do. When the lead starts slipping away, I think everybody turns it up a notch.
Yes, the deal now is to try to get them to play that way longer in the game or for more stretches.
Yeah, I'd like to tell you what I tell them, but wouldn't look good in print. Play harder longer.
They've allowed an average of 28 or so three-point attempts a game. Does that go hand in hand with the pack line?
Mm-hmm. They're going to make you shoot it over top of them. I think the drives to the basket and things you get are primarily out of break situations, transition. They do a great job of helping. It's you got to be pretty good at penetrating pitch. You can't just try to bull your way in there. You're gonna find a lot of resistance.
Friday, you gave up a bunch of threes. Was it a matter of them running good offense? Were there things that you could have done to slow them down, or was it just a matter of them just making some crazy shots?
No, we gave them step-in shots. If you're going to shoot it from the perimeter, that's what you want to shoot. You want to shoot step-in shots. That's like those are driveway shots. We didn't do a very good job. I thought, as at the end of the game, we did a much better job. But and I mean, let's face it, they had a bunch of guys can shoot it. That line has changed a lot of things now, and offensively and defensively. And we're going to face not exactly the same thing, but something like that from Bellarmine.
Yeah, they haven't shot quite as well from three. 28%.
Well, most people haven't played who they've played either. They played against some pretty good athletes.
Going back to their offense, some of the things that you all really like to do, like pressure the ball, stop reversals. Like, they don't dribble really, right? But they try to reverse it like crazy.
No, they dribble.
They'd rather not, right?
No, they want Penn to dribble it and create. No, if they get a straight line, they drive it. But it's more penetrating pitch, Mike, than it is other than him. Now he shoots at either hand, turns over either shoulder.
You find that this could be a good test for some of the things that you'd like to work on because it does align with what they would like to do and what you typically try to take away. Like, don't the ball go back to the guard, for example.
After the Marquette game, Mike, I just want to win. I don't really care how. I just want to win. That losing stuff it doesn't set very well. We're going to have to play. We're going to have to guard. If you stop penetration and go back, and when we didn't stop people, it was penetration. It wasn't anything but penetration. That's what happened at Eastern Kentucky. They penetrated and pitched it back out. That's what Marquette did. They had two guys camped in the corners, and they beat us off the bounce and penetrated and pitched it. We got to stay in front of people.
How do you handle Sean going into this game? I mean, his background there, brief though it was, and also coming in off a bad shooting game.
I really don't know a whole lot about it. When I started recruiting Sean, he was at junior college in Dayton, so he was at Sinclair. So I didn't really, I may have talked to Scotty. I can't remember, but I had everything I needed from Coach at Sinclair. Was terrific to work with, and Sean was great. So I've learned, Bob, that keep your nose out of things aren't any of your business,
Scoring it close, it looks like you're moving toward Taz in that role. Looks like there was some sets you were drawing up for him late in the game, close to the basket. Is that something you're going to continue to do? Looks like almost inside out with him too at times.
He hit two huge threes. He hit threes when we overloaded the side against their zone, and he hit a three coming off a stagger that were huge for us. So I wouldn't say we're just trying to put him down there. Paulie scored 6 points in a short period of time. I think one of them or maybe two of them were rebound baskets. But I mean, he's a guy. You come in here, you can find him in here, getting better, working. We need to keep working with those bigs, and Cindy's getting better. You know, the guys that put the time in get better. It's not a hard formula, really.
Daz has given you 20 a game, and he really hasn't shot it that well. I'm
Mm-mm.
sure a lot of it could be some of the difficult shots he's taking. I'm sure you're probably going through that with him, but he has the ability to score.
He scored in junior college. I think he might have been the second leading scorer in all junior college basketball. He can score the ball. He's always been able to score the ball. I said this the other day after the game. He reminds me of Day in the way he can get his feet down. He can come off a screen and get his feet down where a lot of people have a hard time getting their feet down. Deshaun was fantastic at it, and Day was fantastic at fading. You know, he could start and bump off a screen and fade and get his feet down. You know, get his feet under him where he got legs in a shot. And Taz is similar to that. We ran an elevator screen for him. The Oklahoma State game in the conference tournament, and he came through those two guys, and they closed, and it was right in front of the bench, and it was masterful how he got his feet down and got the shot off.
Great scorers can score from anywhere on the floor, right? In your opinion?
They all have preferences.
Okay.
Yes, to a degree, but they all have preferences.
You mentioned Bellarmine's schedule. I mean, when you see something like that, is it impressive at all for the school to load up the way they've loaded up? And, you know, Oakland's kind of loaded up their schedule this year. I mean, the mid-majors do it, and you know, part of it's to make some money, but to load it up the way they have seems like there's more and more mid-majors doing that now.
Well, I think it's a lot of things, Justin. I think money has something to do with it for sure. Being able to take your team and travel has a lot to do with it, and I think it's huge for recruiting. You know, when Scotty goes in a home and says, "Hey, you know, we're going to play UCLA. We're going to play. We're going to play the number one, the number two team in the country, and then throw out all the high majors that have any sort of reputation in the room." Kids are going to say, "I want to, you know, would you rather play there or go play at a place where they're going to play, you know, a low major or maybe even a bunch of D2s?"
Doesn't help the winning percentage. So.
I don't think Scotty cares about that. I mean, he's been coaching for 100 years.
Is it changed? I mean, like, when you were coaching at Akron, I'm sure, I mean, you went out looking for games, I'm sure, but did you actively look to load up, you know, 5, 6, top 25 games before you even got to conference play? I mean, would you have done that?
I was so into the Segrin ratings at that point in time because that was kind of what it was back then. I was into those Segrin ratings like you can't believe. And yeah, I mean, I tried to manipulate the Segrin ratings as best I possibly could. Now that had to do with point differential as much as anything. So you didn't want to go play whomever, Michigan, and lose by 40 because it's really going to kill your Segrin rating.
But I know it wasn't called Power 5 back then, but you probably at least wanted to knock on some of those doors, right?
I wanted to win, man. I just, you know, we played in a good league. We played in Ohio Valley, which at that time was really, I mean, there were pros in that league now. and really, really good coaches. And so yeah, we want to play, but you kind of try to pick and choose people you think you got a chance too.
So now, as a head coach of a Power 5 school, are you getting a lot of mid-majors wanting to, I mean, is it surprising how many maybe call you and say, hey, we'll come to Morgantown, or we'll do this? Or...
Justin, I've been doing this so long, I know everyone. So it's I think it's more relationships. We played Oakland because Greg and I are good friends. We brought Akron in here because those guys are good friends of mine. Like I said, I've known Scotty forever. Knew him when he was a high school coach. Tried to recruit one of his kids, unsuccessfully, but.
First time you went and saw Taz, he said that he went like over 10 right out of the bat. He said he wound up with 30, but what did you see there? And it was a good thing you didn't leave when he was over 10, I guess.
Well, he also had a sprained ankle. Yeah,
He said he had the flu.
Yeah. I didn't think the flu hampered him as much as the ankle did, but he would know better than I. Larry did a great job recruiting him.
What constitutes that? What constitutes the coach doing a great job recruiting him, other than the daily signs?
Communication, I think. I think communication, and we all knew his coach really well. Larry, Ronnie, and I. We had a relationship for a while. Not everybody, but a bunch. It's Bob, honestly, we recruited the heck out of junior college guys when I was at Cincinnati. That was what we had to do. If we were going to compete on a national level, we had to get junior college guys. Until it got to the point where we could go recruit Steve Logans and Kenyon Martins and Mel Levitts and those kind of guys.
Another one about Sean, real quick. Larry told me a story one time that when you guys were first looking at him, there was a concern of whether or not he'd be able to play at this level because of being at the lower junior college level that he was at. So you bring him in, you sign him. Was there ever a point where it was like, okay, yeah, this guy can play at our level? Was there a moment where he kind of proved himself to you guys?
But Larry didn't see him play that I know of. So, on film. We all try to get film and watch film, but in person. And I was probably at, I don't know, 3 or 4 practices. Was at games, and then he played in Ohio, so obviously I'm gonna get calls during and after virtually every game he plays there because I know everybody, and so they're gonna call me and tell me what kind of night he had and how he shot it and all that kind of stuff.
One more on Taz. He had 28 and it was his career high. And he left points out there. There were points he left out in that game on Friday. And it just doesn't seem like he gets 28. It doesn't feel. But my point is it feels like he's going to get there's a 40-point game coming from him pretty soon. You get that feeling when.
We may need more than that, John.
but
if you haven't noticed, our other guys aren't really ringing the bell a lot.
He's scoring a lot of points, and it just doesn't feel like it when you watch the game. Like, oh yeah, Taz has got 28. Wow. And you look at his shooting numbers, and you look at all those things, and you're going, wow.
Well, the honest to God's truth is he had to. Sean couldn't make a shot. JB couldn't make a shot.
Got a little bit from Curry.
Got a lot from Malik. Yeah, and our bigs scored, rebounding the ball and scoring, which they hadn't done much to that point. but I mean he carried the load, and then Gabe was terrific. Those two guys were terrific. I thought Paulie and DC gave us really good minutes around the rim, changing shots around the rim. If you think about it, they didn't score around the rim much.
How different are your offenses, or what you want to do offensively, depending on who you have playing center?
You switch because of personnel. You don't switch because one's better than the other one. You switch because your personnel is better served to play a certain way. We're dribbling it more, I think, than we've dribbled it in a long time, because we're not. You know, the great thing about, let's just say, the Final Four team, the great thing about them, they all could pass the ball. You know, when you have your center out there passing the ball, and what we had with Wellington Smith, and the way Deshaun passed it, and, you know, KJ could pass it. You know, we had guys who could move the ball. So you can do a lot of things whenever you can put guys out there that can pass. That's what Bellarmine does. They all can pass the ball. You kind of play the way that you kind of play what suits your team the best. How you can get the most out of your team at really at both ends.
So is there a difference between, Gabe seems like he can actually pass it around a little bit, maybe not yet.
He's gotten a lot better, Mike.
Yeah.
He's gotten a lot better. He's gotten a lot better with ball security. He didn't really score it around the rim much. He's scoring it around the rim now, which I always thought he should be able to score it around the rim with that big body, but he didn't. But now he is. But that's just putting time in and working at it. You'd be amazed at the guys that shoot the ball and can never see the rim. It astounds me that you have played basketball that long and you don't look at the rim.
Taz was in here talking about his shot selection. You said that a lot of your guys spent a lot of time in the summer off season working on I guess their shot selection where they're comfortable. Like, good shooters have their favorite spots. But you also said that, like, a lot of your guys aren't ringing the bell, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever step in at some point and say, hey, look at this isn't working? Or, because if they know what they know from the summer, does that lag at some point in the regular season? You have to step in?
No, I just tell them to shut up and listen. I'm the shot doctor. It blows your mind, Mike. Honestly, it blows your mind. Some of the things that happen. And we had a guy here who, I mean, he had his thumb all the way under the ball, and his follow through kept going that way. And I kept saying, "What are you doing, man?" So I stood behind him and watched him shoot it a couple of times, and I'm like, "Where did you get that from? You didn't shoot it like that in high school." He said, "Oh, I had this trainer that I've been working with," and I said, "Fire him. He doesn't know what he's doing."
So for, I guess, Taz or Sean or Jalen, do you have to make a house call here, or is it shot selection, or are they good just in a slump? Or?
It's a fine line. It's really, you don't want them thinking about it. That's, you catch it and you shoot it. You got guys running at you. You catch it and shoot it. You can't sit there and think about it. That's the worst thing that really could ever happen. But it's all repetition. It's neuromuscular integration. Time after time after time.